presenter today is Kit Belanger. She is a hearing instrument specialist from Miracle Ear. She has a decade of professional experience in healthcare and counseling. Kit and her staff are dementia-friendly, certified by the Central Wisconsin Dementia Network. Kitty is actively involved in many local organizations, including the Board of Directors for the Wisconsin Rapids Area Senior Center Association, Ruby's Pantry, and the Community Food Shelf. She is a trained Stephen minister. Kitty has earned a master's degree in vocational rehabilitation counseling, as well as a bachelor's degree in medicine. She is passionate about helping people overcome their individual life challenges and reaching their personal goals. And today she's going to talk to us about strategies to deal with your own and others' hearing difficulties.
Thank you. No. How is this working? Usually I'm loud enough that people don't need it, but... Oh, okay. Let me know if I'm not loud enough for you. I'm Kit Belanger.
You're not loud enough.
I'm not loud enough? Really? Usually they tell me to quiet down. I'm one of those people, when I was a kid, they said, use your indoor voice. And now, where I'm working,
Your mic isn't on at all.
what is it doing?
It's not a mic for the room. That's just for the camera.
Oh, do we
So
have
you'll
one
need
for
to
me
use
so
your,
they can
your,
hear me?
your speaking voice.
Use my big curl voice.
Yes.
You can get a microphone
Okay.
if you want to.
I don't need it. I don't have anything fancy prepared PowerPoint-wise, because my clients come first, and I was busy doing stuff until about 9 p.m. last night. I am going to share a quick quote from Helen Keller. I think we all know who she is. The big debate is, which is worse, lack of hearing or lack of sight? Helen's quote was, blindness cuts us off from things, but hearing cuts us off from people. And it really is true. You don't hear people, you miss so much. I'd like to start out with a little background. There's a couple different kinds of hearing loss. Did I just pull something out? Okay, a couple different kinds of hearing loss. We've got a conductive hearing loss. That's like earwax. A lot of people think they have a hearing loss, and it's just they've got way too much hearing, or too much wax in their ears. It's a good idea. If you start noticing that things are muffled or not clear to you, but they're loud enough, go check it out. Doctors can take a look. I have a video otoscope at the office. You can actually see what your ear looks like inside, which is kind of cool. Causes of conductive hearing loss would be, again, earwax, allergies. When your nose and your throat get plugged up, your ears are going to get plugged up too. Some people have had an eardrum rupture, either through the doctor digging out earwax or through an injury. That can cause a conductive hearing loss. Sometimes it's hereditary. You get it from your family. So a lot of people will find out that, yeah, mom and dad had hearing loss, and grandma and grandpa, and gee, I'm starting to get it too. Second kind of hearing loss is sensorineural. That is one that a lot of us as we get older are getting. It's also noise-induced. Noise-induced would be loud noise, is cumulative. So if you get a sharp burst of loud noise, it's generally not going to hurt you too bad. Although I did have an experience just recently myself, and learning to shoot a gun, put on the hearing protection. As soon as I put it on, the gentleman had more advice. Took it back off. We did that 3 or 4 times. He said, okay, go. I didn't put them on. So got the ringing in my ears for a few days, and sometimes that is temporary, sometimes it's permanent. Some people have it so loud that other people can hear it. Sometimes it's just a bother for them. There's also a combination of the two different kinds of hearing loss. With the conductive component of hearing loss, you can go to the doctor and they can fix it for the most part. Even if it's something like a hereditary thing where a bone actually starts growing where your hearing is not working, the little bones in there aren't working correctly, they can fix that. The sensorineural neural hearing loss is something that's permanent. You cannot cure it. You can fix it with amplification through hearing aids. Okay? I am a hearing aid specialist. I want everybody to hear. I'm not a salesman, so I'm giving you the information here. How loud is too loud? Question for you. Do you think 80 decibels would give you a hearing loss if you had that over an extended period of time? 80 decibels is pretty darn loud. Okay? Put that in perspective. We'll go from quiet sounds, like a whisper, would be like 10 to 30 decibels. Okay? It's also like a quiet room. This room, if nobody was talking, would be like 10 to 30 decibels. You get up there to very loud, that would be something like the hair dryer that a lot of us use to style our hair. What else do we have? Or the blender. I've learned at my home that because I use those things so much, I have earplugs sitting right next to those machines because I use them on a weekly basis. And you don't think that that really is going to do something, but studies have shown it does. You get louder than that, you go to like a gas-powered lawnmower, snowblower, chainsaw. Those are way over 100 decibels. Okay, that's going to cause a lot of problems. You're going to get that ringing in your ears. If you continued use, you could lose a lot of the hearing. A lot of people in our town work in the paper mill, work in other factories. I'm meeting a lot of them that through years and years of not having hearing protection, they've got problems now. And that's why you don't walk into Verso unless you pick up earplugs. It's like right in the front door, which I think is fantastic, but the rest of us that are a little bit older than that have to deal with that. We also have really painful sounds like fireworks that get to the top of the spectrum. So another question for you. Do you think over time exposure to loud sounds, you'll just get used to it? No? No. It's not really the case. People say they get used to it, it's okay, it's not as loud as it used to be. The truth is their hearing is being damaged and they're not noticing it as much. So I encourage everybody, you use anything you think is loud. Like I say, even blow dryers or the blender, use hearing protection. They're pretty cheap.
I think one time you just couldn't deploy it, we service every year back, you did a lot of rifle shooting, and you never did anything to protect the ears.
Right.
It wasn't common to do that. That was it.
Yep. Like I say, at one time, and my ears rang for a week. But it's difficult. I know people were kind of thinking about it, because I know a gentleman that he said they used to take the cigarette butts and stick them in their ears, so they knew they needed something. It's not enough, but it's something. But yeah, so noise-induced is a big thing, and we can correct that. Let's see, what else do we have? How about is cotton or tissue, if you stuff that in your ears, you think that's going to work for you? Kind of a trick question. It's not going to do any good. So it's better than not doing anything at all, but it's really not giving you any protection. Let's see. So I've got some habits that cause hearing loss that you might not think about. First one is ignoring changes in your hearing or in your ears. If you've got pain in your ears, ringing in your ears, get it checked out. It's not normal. If you get something other than just wax coming out of your ears, say some liquid coming out of your ears, just even a little bit of clear liquid, go and get it checked out by the doctor. That's not normal. If somebody comes into my office and says they've got drainage coming out of their ears, I refer them to a doctor because that's not a normal thing to have going on. So don't ignore things, get them checked out. If you get ringing in your ears, that's another thing. If it all of a sudden comes on and you don't know why, go get it checked out. That's not normal. It's something that's important. Another thing that people tell me is they notice that things are loud enough, but it's muffled, or they don't understand what people are saying. If that has come on, and usually it takes 7 to 10 years for people to really decide they're going to do something about it. But if you start noticing that more and more, go and get it checked out. There's a lot of companies in town that do free hearing tests. There's no obligation to that. I figure knowledge is power. It's as important as getting your eyes checked. For us ladies going in and getting the mammogram or the prostate exam, we need to get this done because we want to catch stuff early. You catch it early, that's a good thing. Okay? Couple other things that are not good. Don't use Q-tips. I know that's one of those things that it's like, yeah, but we all kind of do. The big thing with Q-tips is make sure that if you're in the bathroom, sit down, lock the door. I've had people that have hurt their eardrum because somebody else has opened the door and jammed it in their ears. So use them, but don't poke it in because people have a tendency to pack it in there. And when you pack in the earwax, it's just like an earplug. You'll lose hearing. And that's why I say if it starts to get muffled, go and get it checked out. Another big one in this area that I talked to quite a few people about is ear candling. I don't know if you know what ear candling is. I've never actually seen it done, but it's a it's a paper candle. They put in your ear, lay it down, and light it on fire. And it's supposed to cause a vacuum and pull the wax out. Studies have shown it doesn't actually work. People swear that they see wax, but it's usually the candle that's on the paper. So it's like, I can't imagine with my hair having anybody come near it with an open flame, but it's like, this is crazy. So that's one of those that a lot of people in this area, it's a folk remedy that families like to use. So I encourage people not to use that. Let's see. All right, so big strategies on helping with family or other people that you're communicating with. Deafness or hard of hearingness is invisible. We don't know who's got it, okay? You might be able to kind of get a sense of it, but we can't look at it. If somebody hurts their leg or loses their leg, we know there's a problem. With this, they might seem rude. They might seem like they're ignoring you. My advice is to get face to face with them. If you're in a crowded room, get closer. Some people don't like you to invade their personal space, but it works out better that way. So get close, face to face. If they don't answer you when you first talk to them, call them by name. Make sure they are looking at you before you talk to them, okay? If they ask you a question, it's best to not use single words, like a yes or a no. Because with a hearing loss, it can kind of sound the same. If you're saying you want to go out to dinner, it's not a big deal, but it's like, did you lock the doors? Is everything okay in the house? Yes or no is a big deal. So it's better to say, no, I did not do that. Or instead of saying yes, it's all done, or something. The more clues you give them, the better it is to hear and understand what's going on. Okay? Again, face to face, because we have a tendency to talk with our hands, and visual expressions are a big thing. You know, are they happy? Are they sad? I had a gentleman that came in a few years ago, and he said he thought he was doing really good with his hearing. You know, it was a little hard, but no big deal. Saw a friend that he hadn't seen for years and years. They greeted each other, they're smiling, they're happy, and the guy told him that his wife had just passed away. Well, he went on like he always did and kind of, oh, okay, fine, good, so glad you're doing well. And he walked away and realized from somebody else that this gentleman had just said that his wife had died. And he said, oh, you're doing good, that's great. So I saw him the next week. He said, it was the kicker that, and I don't want anybody to get to that point. But it's easy to just kind of, I hear it good enough, so we're okay. So in addition to not worrying about it if they're seeming rude to you, because some people, nobody wants to be rude. We want to get their attention. We want to talk to them. We want to speak clearer rather than louder, because loud is not better, as a lot of people, all of us know. You know, with hearing loss, it's more of a deal. My grandmother was one of those people that was very sensitive to sound. She did not understand a whole lot of anything at the end because she had gone through, and I'll explain it later, it's called auditory deprivation, which is where your brain literally forgets a lot of the everyday words because it doesn't hear them. So what we need to do is we need to get the brain hearing those words again. You'll start relearning them. Just like hurting your knee, you go through rehabilitation. It's a slow process, but the more your brain hears the words, the more you will start to learn them again. Let's see. Another question for you. Do you or your family, let's see. No, I don't want to do that one. That's a boring one. Okay, sorry. Now I've got more tips to help prevent hearing loss, okay? Big thing is keep the noise and the volume down. And I worry so bad with these kids and more mature adults with earbuds in. And you can hear them across the room. You're sending that sound directly into your brain. And that's how I do a hearing test. I put the earplugs in so that it's more exact into the eardrum so you can hear it. They're blasting their heads off. They figure it's like, okay, I'm listening to rock music and I'm listening to the low frequency, the low bass sounds. Okay, in order to hear those and for those to be damaged, you're damaging your high frequency sounds. High frequency sounds are where our speech comes into. Okay, it's like a spiral staircase. Every time you go up and down, you're wearing out the bottom steps first. When you go up and down the stairs, like I say, it's like you're hearing. The bottom steps are the higher frequencies. Okay, so every time you go up, you're wearing on the high frequencies, which is where clarity of speech and understanding sound come into. So all these kids that think they're just getting the bass and they'll be good when they turn that off, they're ruining their hearing overall. So another question, do you think that the brain plays an important role in how we hear? Yep. Our ears are just the mechanism to get the sound in there. It is actually processed in the brain. So that is where the auditory deprivation is so important. If we don't have the sound coming in, the brain is forgetting what you're hearing. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but the difference between M's and N's, or P's and B's, or S's on the beginning or the end of a word, totally changes that word. I'm going to see, I've got a list of words. All right. So these are some of the harder words to understand. You don't have to repeat it back out loud, just think what it sounds like. First word would be tax, teeth, chase, pot, fifth, peach. Those sound clear to you. If they don't, they're kind of different words, everyday words, but there are some syllables in there that are just more difficult for people to understand. So, and it makes a big difference. I mean, if you're talking to somebody and you need it, it's really hot, don't touch it, and they think, oh, there's a pot on the stove, you know, and it's like, no, you want to say, don't burn yourself, but that's a big deal. So that's an important thing. Going back to this auditory deprivation, that's one of those things, like I said, you rehabilitate your brain by being able to hear better. You can use amplification. That would be ideal. There are other ways to do that. They do have the little bar for the TV set. People like that. What that's doing for you, though, is it's increasing all the volume. Okay? Some of these over-the-counter hearing amplification units, again, are something that it would increase everything. So if you went out to a concert, you turned it up, you're blasting your head up with the sound, the music. You're not hearing the voices. And that's where it's important to get something that actually the frequencies can be adjusted. So I'm a firm believer in this. Like I said, I've got family history. I've got a personal hearing loss from an accident that I had years ago. And it's coming. But I always tell my husband, I told him when I first met him, I'm not a cheap date. I didn't drink beer. When I needed trifocals, I got trifocals. When I need hearing aids, I'm going to get the best. So he's just given up, but he doesn't even ask me how much stuff is. It's like, okay, good. I like that. I trained him right? Let's see. What else do I have? Okay, so these are strategies to help you with a loved one or someone you know kind of come to terms with a hearing loss, or have them come in and see if they might have a hearing loss. Because every day I get husbands and wives come in and it's like, my husband can't hear me, but I think it's selective hearing. I can't do anything about selective hearing. That's one of those things that I said, you just go over and grab his hand and say, honey, we need to talk. And again, it's face to face. That works the best. So if you have someone, I have a father-in-law that has a hard time. He doesn't like his hearing aids. We did get him to do that. But the biggest thing for you to talk to a loved one is just express your feelings. Tell them how you feel about not being able to communicate effectively. Some people, it's like, tell them that you feel bad that they're not coming to family get-togethers. They're not going out to dinner anymore because they don't feel comfortable with it. Assure them that you're really not mumbling and you're not, you don't want to yell at them, but they should get it checked out. You could reach out to some other friends or some adult children, a professional, if you would like. Sometimes people listen more to other people than they do to their own family members with, hey, it's time to kind of figure this thing out. You could research options. Some people worry about the price, some worry about what they look like. I've got some that I wear sometimes. It's nice and quiet in here today. But I know a lot of people, it's like those are the big ugly things that everybody's going to see. These things are tiny. These things, even on men, I have a hard time seeing. Friends of mine, clients of mine that I know wear them, I've been known to go up and say, hey, you're not wearing them today. Why aren't you wearing those things? But they're cool. They really are. They've got options. I think the newest one they have, it's a rechargeable that you can take. You don't ever have to change the battery. I've got people that are traveling Europe with a box this size with their hearing aids, and they don't have to worry about it. So, and I'm not selling again. I'm just giving you information. What else do we have in there? Oh, I want you to lead by example as far as if you've got family members that are not sure. Go get a hearing test together. I usually tell husbands and wives, make a day of it. You can both get it done. Go have lunch afterwards. Takes about an hour. Quick screening. I just did some screenings down in Rome, down at the City Hall, beginning of this week. 10, 15 minutes. You can find out how it's going. So it's a good thing. Let's see. Talk to other people that are satisfied. People are really quick to tell you bad things about their hearing loss or about their experiences with hearing aids or with their experiences with the Fleet Farm little model that they got. Get it from people that are happy, that really want to tell you straight, because it really is a good thing. Yeah.
What are prices for a good, I've heard there's a range, but for quality hearing aids?
For a good hearing aid, they can go from like $4,000 to $6,000 for two. And that's for two. That's the technology. 4,000 to 6,000. There are some that are less. If you look up Miracle Ear online, it drives me crazy because it'll say $12.99. Well, one of my very favorite pictures, I went down to Bethesda, and I don't know if you guys like to go down to Bethesda at the mall. Somebody had turned in their $12.99 hearing aid, took a picture of it down there. And they wouldn't say who did it. They were all kind of giggling, but they're like, no, they went to get real ones down at Miracle Ear. So, but it did. You know, talking to people, it's like you start talking, the music gets louder, everything gets louder. That's what it does. So you don't want to have something like that because it's not going to work. In a room like this, you'd hear me perfectly. If we turned on some music, if the fans started going, all those noises would get loud. So that's the big difference, and it's the research and the technology that's the cost. It's pretty much the same across the board. What else do I have here? If somebody is resistant to your suggestions, they even go and get a test, just keep at them. Let them know. It's proven that the more they hear about it, the more they think about it. We'll get them in. We'll get them taken care of. Like I say, I've got a lot of people that come in. They just want to get a baseline. How's it going? It's going good. You know, like going in for any of the other medical things we do. Big thing with the effects of untreated hearing loss. People really do seem to withdraw. You know, they don't want to be out with people because they don't want to seem dumb. Don't want to have a situation like this gentleman that was, you know, glad to talk to a friend and found out that the spouse had died. It also can affect your cognitive function, your thinking ability. With the hearing loss, it does not cause dementia or Alzheimer's. With a treated hearing loss, it will slow it down. It keeps your brain busy. It exercises your brain. And that's the big thing like that I say with the hearing aids so that you don't get auditory deprivation. For more clients, it's an unsweat way to exercise your brain. Everything else, it's no pain, no gain. It's like, this, you don't even have to think about it. My mom puts hers on, leaves the radio on in the corner of the house. She doesn't hear it. She says, why, I just want it on because she lives by herself. But I sat there and watched her one day, and every time it was something good on the radio, she'd come in from the other room and go turn the radio up and sit and listen to it. So even though she was not listening to it or paying attention to it, her brain was picking up on that and being exercised. So she's keeping her brain strong and not even paying attention to it. It's cool. I absolutely love it. There's a number of studies by Johns Hopkins and the Aging Association that are linking hearing loss to dementia. So I worry about that. I've got a family history of that, and I don't want that either. So I'm thinking I'm getting to the end here. I had another cute little quote from Helen Keller here. I do apologize. I was going to have a fancy PowerPoint for you, but like I say, my clients come first. So another quote from Helen Keller. After a lifetime in silence and darkness, to be deaf is a greater affliction than to be blind. Hearing is the soul of knowledge and information of a high order. To be cut off from hearing is to be isolated indeed. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Any questions? Feel free to talk to me today or stop by. I'm down at the senior center.
I just have a quick comment.
Yeah.
I went in for a hearing test, it's probably been 5 or 6 years now, because I was having problems hearing at work.
Yeah.
I do have hearing aids, and my insurance did cover a significant part of the cost.
Okay.
So if cost is an issue, check out your insurance, it might help.
And that is very, very individual to the,
Yes.
it can be Humana insurance and it can be
Yeah.
100 different policies. So, yeah.
I just recently got into hearing aids, and I've been retired 16 years.
Okay.
And as I went in to check on them, the companies only cover up to 12 years on any payments. So it's something that people should know.
Oh, this is your employer? that they covered?
The companies you work for only have to cover up, after 12 years, you've been retired over 12 years, they do not have to pay anything towards your hearing aids or anything.
Okay,
I left
okay.
most of my hearing in the mill, yes.
okay, okay.
When we first started, there was no such thing as hearing protection.
Right, right. And that's I'm not a lawyer, but I have a lot of people that talk to them about workman's comp, and I don't know what the statute of limitations or whatever is on that.
Yeah.
But I always say, talk to an expert that knows the law, because I don't.
And so,
But,
that's one of the things that he wanted to bring up. I'm having trouble with my throat.
You got water. Okay,
But, the point is they didn't tell him that it was only good for 12 years.
right.
They knew he had lost his hearing, but they didn't say they would only be after 12 years. And so when I finally nagged him into going, it was 16 years.
Right, right.
So all of you who are working, I don't know how many are working here, when you're working, make sure you know that and
Oh,
go
yeah.
get it checked.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That is so true. In the mill and a lot of other places in town, they do yearly or bi-weekly or bi-yearly hearing tests. That's to protect them. That's not for you. So they're going to say, yeah, it looks good, or yeah, it's down a little bit, but they're not giving you a level. They're not telling you what's going on. It's more what you feel like.
He had been told a number of years before he retired that he would be able to get hearing aids,
Okay,
but of course he didn't feel he needed them yet. But then, then by the time he did decide to go, it was too late. So be sure to keep that in mind and get out and get a baseline.
absolutely. And when you get them, make sure that you keep them up to date. Because I have met more people. I go out to assisted livings and do cleanings for people, for any manufacturer. They're not tuned up. They're not working for you. They're actually working against you if they're not working to your hearing level. So I'm going to have to, go ahead.
Share with you.
Yeah?
When I had my first hearing test, a lady went with me.
That is
And
good.
she heard all the information, and on the way home, I think it was, she said, oh my goodness, maybe that's wrong with that's what's wrong with my mother. They thought that her mother was losing it, that something was happening. She was withdrawing, not paying attention. So that very weekend, she went to see her mother. They got her in to have her ears tested. She got hearing aids. It was a whole new life for her.
It is.
And they lived with her. They were not aware that it was a gradual hearing loss.
In some people, it could be they think that, like you say, they're starting to get dementia, there's something going on. They've started to learn they're checking hearing. Because if you can't hear it, you don't know what's going on. So I will be around through the
I
rest.
have a question about
Okay.
it. The actual hearing, you spoke before about the greater the cost, the possibility of picking out the sounds you want to hear are more like the natural hearing. Is that? How
We
do
can't-
you
we-
know that when you purchase a hearing aid?
We cannot give you back the original hearing. We're going to give you really good hearing. Okay. What the difference in the cost is I like to say you buy a Ford car. And you go in there and you say, okay, but I want leather seats. I want power windows. I want this. A lot of the extra cost for some of the higher ones is automatic. You walk into a crowded room and the hearing aid, little computer in there says, oh, we're in a crowd. I'm going to calm down that low frequency background noise so you can hear the people talking. The lower cost ones, you push a little button on the back. You can have different programs. So there's a lot of different options. If you haven't ever had them before, get it, wear it, have fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's incredible.
Because I can remember too taking classes where the sound was all the same. That's a long time ago, and it was a class I was taking to learn about it. I didn't have the problem at the time, but, our ears are wonderfully made, by our creator. We can pinpoint what we want to hear and not hear the noise in the back of the room.
Right.
I didn't realize that hearing aids are able to do a little bit of that. And
Oh, yeah.
I thought that's what you said, and I thought you commented about the price being greater than those two.
Right, right. I mean, it's incredible. They have hearing aids now that you can hear people, if you're in a car, you can hear them in the back seat. Or if you're sitting in the back, you can hear them in the front seat. It's like, I have never been able to hear those people. It's like, I just sit back and I'm like, okay, the kids are having a good time, and,
Are a
but
lot of them foreign made too, hearing aids?
our main office is in Plymouth, Minnesota, but a lot of the components are foreign made. So, yeah, but it's pretty cool. So, yeah. So I will be hanging around for the rest of the day. Any questions? Otherwise, feel free to stop down at the office. No obligation. I just love to talk to people because this is important. This is really important. So, thank you so much.